Hello everybody and welcome to the first video of BETA-Bytes. BETA-Bytes is an acronym. It stands for Bricks and Explains Tech Answers. And we're going to start off with this first video by just going over Windows desktop and all the different elements in there, maybe some keyboard shortcuts. And then at the end, we'll talk about me a little bit and why I started a YouTube channel and kind of what my background is. So without further ado, let's get started. So I got my little script here to go on, super fancy setup here. Maybe I'll get more fancy down the road, but for now, this is what we got. So we're going to start off by talking about Windows desktop elements. So in the background here, this is your wallpaper and this is the Windows desktop. Down at the bottom here, you have your taskbar, which is this whole bar at the bottom. Some computers it may be black, on mine it's white right now. But in the taskbar, the first thing we'll look at is how to add and remove elements to it. So like over here, we've got this search bar and we've got a Cortana button. We've got this My People thing over here. It's stuff that I don't really use and it's taking up a lot of space. So to modify that, we just right click anywhere on the taskbar. Click on People, and that knocks the People thing right off. Down here again, get rid of that Cortana button. And then also we can get rid of the search. I like just having that hidden. And the reason why you don't need the search is because you can do it at any time by just clicking on the Start button, which is right here, and just start typing. And it'll usually find the apps that match best at the top here, then any kind of settings related to what you typed, and then at the bottom it has the web. So this is the exact same thing as having that search box at the bottom taking up space all the time on your taskbar. I don't like it sitting there. It's not any quicker clicking on that and typing than it is clicking on the Start menu and typing. So that's the first thing I do is get rid of that. So other things we can do with the taskbar. So if you've got a program that is locked up on you and is acting awful and you just can't get it to close and go away, you can get to the task manager. You may hear your IT guys talk about that a lot. Go to the task manager and end a task. So the way to do that is you just right click on the taskbar and then you click on task manager. This shows all the apps you've got currently running. At the top is usually the ones that you've actually opened, and then down here is a bunch of Windows systems. So this stuff you don't want to mess with. You only want to mess with the apps section up here. So if I wanted to kill Firefox, I could click on that, say end task, and that will kill it. It won't save anything. It won't pop up any kind of boxes asking you if you want to, are you sure you want to close? Nothing like that. It'll kill it. So that's how you get rid of that. And you can also see if it's sucking up a bunch of memory. So like right now we see Firefox is taking up quite a bit. If the computer is getting kind of sluggish, might want to just close Firefox normally if it's acting right. If you can click on it and click back and forth and nothing's acting really weird, then there's no need to kill it in the task manager. You can just close it normally, and that'll free up some space. So that's how you would go about doing that. Other things on the taskbar, so we've got apps that we currently have open or down here. We can also pin apps to the taskbar. I'll talk about doing that here in just a minute. And then over here, we've got the system tray. We'll talk about that here in a few. You got your clock. If you click on that, you get a handy dandy calendar there. And I've also got our action center way off here to the right. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. So from left to right, the start menu. You guys have all seen this a million times before. In Windows 10 it does look a little bit different, but it's basically the same as it has been since, 96 is when Windows came out. So we've got some tiles that are set up here in little groupings. If you want to see all your apps, click on this button here, and that shows all the apps in alphabetical order. If there's an app that you need that you don't know where it is, you can do the search thing. Do that, you just click away. Click on Start, type searching. There's start typing to search. So I'm going to do the on-screen keyboard. So from here, we've got this guy here. We can either pin it to the start or pin it to the taskbar. So like if we say pin to start, that throws it on the start menu down there at the bottom. And if you were to pin that to the taskbar, it would throw it down here. So let's try that. And go pin to taskbar, and now it throws it down there. And then once it's here, we can rearrange it wherever we want it to go. If we want to get rid of it, just right click on it, unpin from taskbar. It's easy as that. Then on the start menu, so we've got something that we added on here. If we want to get rid of it, just right click on it, say unpin from start. If we want to put something back on there, let's see. Let's put groove on there. We can right click, say pin to start. Again, if we want to do the taskbar, we can go down here and say pin the taskbar. If you want to uninstall the app, you can click uninstall. So you get several options just right here. So I'm going to go back and put the on-screen keyboard on here again because I'm going to need that here in a minute. So I'll pin that to start. Now that I've got that pinned to the start, it puts it in a new group down here. I can resize it. So I want that to be small. If I want to put it up in an existing group, I can just drag it up in there. Kind of rearranges things. If I want to make a new group, I can just drag an icon a ways down here and see how it creates that little box. So now if I drop it, now it's a new group. And if I want to name that group, boom, I got it named. And then I can get rid of that if I want to. And then it gets rid of the group. So that's kind of the deal with the start menu. Just right click on any tiles, resize them. You can get rid of them. You can go back to the all apps listing. You can search on it by just typing away. And there you go. So the next thing we've got in our taskbar is the task view. So if we click on this, it'll show us all the apps we currently have open. And also shows you a timeline. I don't really use this timeline. Some people like this. A lot of times I end up turning it off. But that's kind of handy. So if you got an app minimized and you don't know where it is, you click on that task view and you can pull it up. The other thing on the task view that not a lot of people know about, but I really like it, is the desktops at the top here. So when you start off with the task view, it just looks like this. So you got your open apps at the top here. And then you've got this new desktop button. If you click on that, it'll actually make a second desktop. So why would you want that? So let's say that I open up everything that I've got going on here. So let's see. Let's open up something else. Open up a spreadsheet program. So my screen's getting pretty cluttered here, right? So if I want to go to a fresh desktop, I can just focus on one thing. So let's say on here we want to pull up another web browser and just look at the news. Right? We can have that set in there. And then we can go back to the test view, go to our other desktop and go back to work and flip back and forth. So I think this is super handy. I use this all the time. What I tend to do is on desktop 1, I tend to put like my email, chat programs, if I want to communicate with my team at work, calendar, that sort of stuff on desktop 1. Desktop 2 is where I put web browsers. And then sometimes I'll have a third desktop where I'll put Word and Excel documents. So I can flip back and forth between desktop 2 and 3 to copy and paste into a web browser, do some research, but then I can focus on the documents over there. But on a personal computer, generally 2 desktops is enough. You get more than that and it gets kind of weird. 3 is kind of my limit. You can do as many as you want. You can keep hitting new desktop, and you can have 24 desktops if you want to. But at a certain point, you kind of get lost, and it takes too much time to get back and forth between them. So in the keyboard section coming later on, I'll show you how to flip back and forth between them a lot simpler. So that's how do you do that. Off to the right here, we've got our system tray. So system tray is showing apps that are open, running in the background. A lot of times it's just stuff that's kind of built into Windows. If you click on this little guy here, it'll show you hidden icons. So these are things that you may not need to interact with or don't want to see on your system tray all the time, because again, this can get pretty long if you want to see everything. But you can click on that to see anything that's hidden. So like there's Windows Defender, which is an antivirus running. Bluetooth is enabled. I mean, that kind of stuff I don't need to mess with, but it's there if you need it. So anytime that somebody asks you to check out your system tray to see if something's running, that's what they're talking about. It's just to the left of your clock. To the right of the clock, we have the Action Center. So this is where any notifications are going to go. So like right now, it's trying to tell me to back up my computer. If I want to get rid of that notification, just close it out, get rid of it. You'll see stuff pop up there. Also at the bottom, you've got these little tools in the Action Center. Most of them you don't necessarily need, like turning location on and off, going into tablet mode. That kind of stuff you probably won't use that often. But the most important one here is the settings. That one's super handy. So you can go in there to change things about your computer. You can go to the light or the dark theme. Right now I've got the light theme going on. You can check out your computer name. All that kind of stuff is in settings. And we'll probably have a video on that later on to show some of the things you can do in settings. But just know that stuff's down there. All right. So we got that stuff. Look at that. Just kicking this thing down the list. All right. So the next thing I wanted to show everybody is the File Explorer. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't know that they use the File Explorer all the time. And that is, by default, if you go down here, it's the little manila folder with like the little blue thing holding it upright. That's your File Explorer. And if you don't have that icon on your taskbar, click on the Start menu, search File Explorer. You see it right there. Right-click, Pin to Start, or Pin to Taskbar. Since I already have it pinned, it says unpinned. So that's how you get it on there if it's not there. But that's your File Explorer. Super handy. You probably use it all the time and just didn't know that's what it was called. So this is where you can move files around. You can throw stuff into the trash can. You can find your pictures. All that stuff is done in here. And then you've got your little menu bar at the top here. Sometimes you'll hear it called a ribbon with the different tabs for how to share files, how you want to view things, if you want to see them in icons or if you want to see them in lists. Okay. So not much to the File Explorer. Just wanted to kind of mention it because a lot of people don't know that that's what it's called. Okay, so now we've got keyboard shortcuts. So this is what I needed this guy for. So let me go back down here and pull up the on-screen keyboard. Keyboard shortcuts are super, super helpful. It's surprising how many people don't know that they exist. And the keyboard shortcuts work on every program in Windows. And actually, if you're an Apple user, they also work on Macs. The only difference is Mac, the control key is some funky character. I forget, it looks like a caret symbol. But on Macs, instead of using control, you use the command, which is the one that looks like the clover leaf. So these are all the same on Mac and Windows. It's just on Mac, you got to use command instead of control. So the most common ones you'll need to use are you hold the control key with your pinky, and then you do these four down here. And it doesn't make any sense what they're assigned to. It's just because they're so close here. So this is undo, this is cut, copy, and paste. Right? So we got a little document up here. Let's see. It's going to be hard to see. Let me pull that up. So if I want to grab a little chunk of program code I've got going on here, I can grab this, do Control C. So Control C. Go into a new one, do Control V, and that pastes that line of code. Simple as that. Right? Let's do that again. Let's say I want to copy this whole section here. Control C, and then Control V. They're just right next to each other is why they picked it. So C kind of makes sense for a copy. V doesn't make sense for paste, but it's just because it's right next to it. C and V. You can slide your index finger real easily over there. Hold your pinky on Control, and then C and V. Use them all the time. So handy. And then cut is very similar to copy, except for it actually deletes it. So like if I grab this guy here, I do Control X, it actually deletes the code. And if I want it back, I do Control V for paste. So X is kind of like a move in a sense. So you're cutting it out and copying it at the same time. And then you use Control V to paste it. And if you totally screw something up, so let's say I highlight a bunch of stuff here and I hit delete instead of Control X, and I say I want to get it back, you do Control Z. So Control Z is undo. Piece of cake. So you get them all right in a row there. Undo, cut, copy, paste. So copy and paste are by far the most common to use. Cut is very common, and so is undo. There's also a redo, but I never remember exactly which one it is because programs change it. Usually it's Y, because Y is right before Z, but I wouldn't really stick to that. And usually undo is what you want. You don't really want to redo things unless you undo too far. But if that's the case, then I use the toolbar to go back and redo something. So there's undo, cut, copy, paste, all right in a row. Undo, cut, copy, paste. Try those out. Get your fingers used to using those. Get the muscle memory down. You'll love it, trust me. Some other ones that are really handy that are also ubiquitous across all of Windows. Select all. So select all is Control A. So if I go up here and do Control A, that highlights the entire document. Right? So you can do Control A, Control C, Control V. Create a new document. Control A is really handy. It's also quite handy, like if you're in Excel. If you've got an Excel spreadsheet that's got a bunch of data in it and you want to highlight all the data, and you don't want to click on the first one, then hold Shift, and then click on the last one, you can just click somewhere in the middle, Control A, boom. Selects all the data on that spreadsheet. And you Control C, Control V it into a new spreadsheet, start messing around with it. Very handy stuff. So, some other keyboard shortcuts. So we've got those guys down. Another one is Control F. Is for find. Works every time. Every program on the computer. Now what you get for the find box is different depending on the computer, but Control F is always a way to find. That also works on web browsers. We drag this guy back down here out of the way. So if I'm in Firefox, we'll go to news or something here. Do Control F. Down at the bottom we have this find on page. The keyboard's kind of in the way. Find on page, you can type some stuff here, and then you can highlight it on the page. So Control F works everywhere. And then the last one I want to show everybody is Control P. Let's go to that. So Control P is print. So do Control and then P. Which in this program, of course, it's going to do nothing. So let's pull up our notepad guy again here. So we'll do Control P, and that pulls up your printer. So you've got whatever kind of printers are attached to your computer. Also, one that I wanted to mention here is Microsoft Print to PDF. Super handy. I'm not a big fan of having a bunch of paper sitting around. I don't know why people print everything out so that they can see it and touch it. They work with it and then they throw the paper away. It's such a waste. By far the most efficient thing to do is do a Control P, say print to PDF, print. It asks you where you want to save something. So we'll call this test. Right? And then you've got a PDF. Close that guy out. Go to Documents in our File Explorer. Got a PDF. So what we want to open the PDF in. So apparently I've never opened a PDF file before. And then boom. Got Control P. So there's your PDF document. Right? And if you're one of those people that likes printing things out and having the physical copy in front of you, well then what you can do is use your multiple desktops. So take your multiple desktop, throw that guy over there. Now you've got your stuff going on here. And if you want to get over there to see that other screen, what you do, pull this guy back up so you can kind of see what keys I'm hitting, is you hit Control, Windows, and right, and left. And that switches between your multiple desktops. So there's left and there's right, just down there at the bottom. So Control, Windows, right, and left. Right? So then we've got our document over here that we printed out. We can look at it, read it, copy stuff from it, highlight things, Control C, go back over here, Control V, go back over there, look at another section that we need to deal with. It's the same difference as having a piece of paper sitting there on your desk, except you're not wasting the paper. So, super handy. Definitely recommend everybody utilize that. So there's the multiple desktops. Close that out. So I think that's got all of our keyboard shortcuts. So we've gone through basic desktop elements in Windows. We've gone through the taskbar, the start menu, system tray, action center, file explorer. We showed the task manager real briefly, multiple desktops. Gone through a bunch of keyboard shortcuts. I think we got all of it covered. Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about myself here. So, first of all, is my real name Brixton? No, it is not. It is a name my girlfriend and I made up for home businesses. During this whole COVID quarantine, we decided to start a small manufacturing business. We call that one Brixton Branding. It's not quite ready yet, but we're getting the website all fine tuned. And then we figured we'd do a YouTube channel as well and just reuse the same Brixton name. And then, maybe eventually we'll tie the two together, make that the merch side of the YouTube channel. And then on here we can do a lot of different things and kind of promote that as well. I currently have a full-time job. I work at a state university in a mid-level management position. I've always worked in universities, never been out in the corporate world. I've worked at private universities and public ones, but still stayed in that arena. I do have an associate's degree in computer science with a concentration in computer programming. I have a bachelor's degree in business with a concentration in management of information systems. Whenever I got my bachelor's degree, I did teach college level courses in computer programming, Microsoft Office, database administration for about 5 years. And then I also did little corporate gigs on the side, training office staff on how to use Windows and how to use Microsoft Office. I also presented at several university conferences, so I'm no stranger to doing this kind of stuff and teaching. I rather enjoy it. Why do we create a YouTube channel? In general, I'm not a big fan of social networks as far as just sharing stuff online isn't my thing. But a YouTube channel figured to be a good way to maybe make a little extra money and then also just show people how to do things on computers and pass along some of the knowledge I've learned over the years. I thought that would be a good fit. And like I said above, I do enjoy teaching people and just anything I can do to make your life more effective and more efficient. Happy to have good habits on computers, to be security conscious, privacy conscious. That kind of stuff really interests me. And then, just like I said before, another way to make more revenue. Hopefully this turns into a little something. We'll see. So if you do like the channel, please do subscribe to it. Like this video. Definitely in the comments section below, mention any kind of things you would like to see future videos on. Like I said, right now we're going to start off with computer proficiency type stuff, just tips and tricks, but later on I may get into other programs. I may get into going over how we do stuff on the Brixton Branding side of things, maybe get into Raspberry Pi. I'm an avid reader, so I probably will get into some book reviews and maybe a tour of my bookshelves. Maybe get into some gaming stuff. Who knows? We'll just kind of see where this thing goes. But let me know what you guys want to see, and I'd be more than happy to create some videos on it. So hopefully we'll see you soon. You have a good day. Bye.